What's happening everyone, my name is Alex and welcome back to a new review. Today we are checking out the OnePlus 6, the phone that brings flagship specs but not at a flagship price. So you can find this phone for about $520, and for that price we get the same processor that we get in the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus or the LG G7. So you get the Snapdragon 845, we also get 6 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of internal storage. Now you can also get this with 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of internal storage, and I recommend that you try getting that version because the phone cannot take an SD card. So there is no way of expanding the internal storage. We also get a 6.2 inches AMOLED screen that has a 1080p resolution, and since we are in 2018, of course we get the notch. Now if you don't like how the notch looks, you can always hide the notch from the software, but I actually like how the notch looks for this particular device. In the notch there we also have an LED notification light that can change colors, we have the speaker and of course a front-facing camera. This is a 16 megapixel front-facing camera that takes pretty good looking pictures if you have plenty of light. Now whenever you don't get enough light, the pictures become a bit blurry and a bit grainy, but overall still good for a phone around $500. The colors on the screen are very vibrant, the blacks are very deep, the viewing angles are also good, and the screen gets bright enough so you can see the phone outside, but I wish the resolution would have been a bit higher because this is a fairly big screen, and when comparing this to the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus, for example, where you can definitely tell that the screen is not as sharp. So hopefully for the next OnePlus device we are going to get a screen with a higher resolution. But other than that, the screen does look quite good for a phone around $500, as I said before. Just like most smartphones today, we get glass on the front, glass on the back, and of course a metallic frame. And the phone looks and feels just as premium as any other flagship out there. Now the phone is a bit slippery, but there is a case that comes in the box, so you can keep that case on, and the case doesn't actually look that bad. And the phone is not going to be as slippery afterwards. So definitely nice to get a case because this way you don't have to spend extra money for a case. By now we've all heard that the phone doesn't support wireless charging even though we have a glass back, but for me personally wireless charging is not that important, so I couldn't really care less if it supports wireless charging or not. Now the phone supports dash charging, and charging the phone from 0 to 100 is done in just an hour and 20 minutes. So extremely fast, and this is probably the fastest charging phone out there. I don't think there is another phone that can be charged as fast as this one. So we don't have wireless charging, but we have extremely quick charging. Now to get that super fast charging, you're gonna have to use the charger that comes in the box. You're not gonna be able to use any other charger because with any other charger the phone is gonna charge quite slow. Since we are talking about charging, well, inside this phone we have a 3300 mAh battery, and even though the battery life is not exceptional, it's still better than the battery life that I get from my Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus. So you're going to be able to make it through an entire day and get between 7 and 9 hours of screen time depending on how you use the phone. And that's not bad at all, but as I said, it's not exceptional. But for a phone around $500, well, it's still better than all the other flagships out there. On the back of the phone we have a super quick and super accurate fingerprint scanner, and once again this is probably the fastest fingerprint scanner that I tried on any smartphone. And if you don't want to use the fingerprint scanner, you can always use the face unlock, and the face unlock is just as fast as the fingerprint scanner, but the face unlock is not as secure. Now if you're trying to use the face unlock at night, that's not gonna work that great, so I guess you have to use the fingerprint scanner instead whenever it's dark. Next to that fingerprint scanner we also have two cameras. The main camera is a 16 megapixel sensor with the f1.7 and optical image stabilization, and the second camera is a 20 megapixel sensor with the f1.7. The phone also supports 4K recording, so it can record in 4K at 30 and 60 frames per second, and we even get image stabilization for 4K at 30 frames per second. And I have to say the cameras on the back of this device are an improvement over the cameras that we had on the last OnePlus device. The camera app looks very simplistic, and it's also very quick at taking pictures and at focusing, and it even offers an auto HDR mode and of course a Pro mode, so really no complaints about the camera app offered by the OnePlus 6. The picture quality for daytime pictures is great and many times on par or even better than some other flagships out there. Now for some pictures the dynamic range could be improved, the colors could also be better, but in many situations the picture quality is great, so really no complaints about that, mostly considering the price of the phone. I've actually done a comparison video between this phone and the Xiaomi Mi 8, and I'm gonna leave a link to that comparison video in the video's description or the top right corner, just in case you wanna check out more pictures taken by the OnePlus 6. But overall, for the price of the phone takes really good looking pictures. Moving on to pictures taken in low light, well, those pictures don't look as good as the pictures that you would get from other flagships. So the pictures are a bit more grainy and a bit more out of focus, so definitely not as good. But once again, for the price of the phone, we can't exactly complain. And all the pictures that you've just seen were taken by the OnePlus 6 on auto mode. As I mentioned earlier, the phone's frame is made out of metal, so on the right hand side we have the power button and we also have a mute vibrate slider. I'm not a big fan of this button for some reason, but mostly because this is the only phone that has this. I mean, you can find a phone something like this on the iPhones, but me personally, I'm not a big fan of it, but I do know that everyone else loves this button. At the top we have a secondary microphone, on the left we have the slot for the SIM card, so this device can take 2 SIM cards, and of course we have the volume keys. And moving all the way to the bottom there we have the speaker, we have the USB-C port, we have the microphone, and of course the 3.5mm audio jack. And having a 3.5mm audio jack, it's not something that we usually see. The sound quality from that 3.5mm audio jack, it's also pretty good, so once again no complaints for a phone around $500. Now, I can't say the same about the speaker at the bottom of the phone. So that speaker gets fairly loud, but it's just one tiny little speaker. And if you listen at the maximum volume, the speaker sounds a bit distorted. So I don't exactly like how the speaker sounds. And it would have been so much better to have dual speakers on this phone. It would have made the experience so much better. It's also somewhat easy to cover the speaker whenever you're holding the phone like that. So the speaker at the bottom could have definitely been improved, and I'm hoping to see dual speakers on the next OnePlus model. You've probably heard by now that the OnePlus 6 is one of the fastest phones available on the market, and yes, it is one of the fastest phones that I've ever tried, and the Antutu benchmark score and the Geekbench 4 score will only confirm that. And even after using the phone for about a month, the phone is just as fast as it was on the first day. So yes, this is one of the fastest phones available on the market. It doesn't matter what you do with it, if you are multitasking, or if you're just browsing Facebook or Twitter, or if you are editing a picture, or if you're playing games, it doesn't matter what you do with it, the phone is always fast. For example, you can play PUBG or GTA San Andreas at the maximum settings and the phone is not gonna slow down at all. Now, I did notice that whenever you're playing games, the battery life decreases quite a bit, but that's normal for any smartphone out there. So if you're looking for the absolute fastest phone out there, the OnePlus 6 is the one to go for. Even though I have the entry-level models, so the one that has 6 gigs of RAM, I haven't experienced any lag no matter how many apps I had running in the background. So I usually have between 12 and 15 apps running in the background at all times, and even like that the phone performs extremely well. So if you don't want to spend the extra money to get the version with 8 gigs of RAM, well, the 6 gigs of RAM works just as good. The phone gets updates very often as well, and that's not something that I can say for other flagships like the S9 Plus or the LG G7, because those get updates very rare. So these days I kind of prefer the Oxygen OS over the stock Android, just because it offers some added features that are very handy. We have some very handy features like the double tap to wake up the screen. There is also a feature where the phone will turn on the screen whenever you pick it up. We have other features like a gaming mode where the phone is gonna stop all the notifications so you can enjoy your gaming experience more, and much more. So that's why I like the Oxygen OS over the stock Android, because the stock Android, it's missing some very important features, and this one offers that stock Android experience with those extra features. And it's time to conclude this video. So for about $520, the OnePlus 6 is a fantastic phone. I'm not gonna say that this is better than a flagship, because we don't get the same screen quality, we don't get the same screen resolution, we don't get dual speakers, and the cameras on the back aren't as good as the cameras that we have on some flagships. But for the price, this phone offers amazing value and I highly recommend it. Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did like it, press that like button, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.